show, Nonsense Makes Sense. I'm Sister Mary Jan Mananzan, your host. I am sure we are all thinking about what kind of government we will have as we listen to people in politics talking about our change of government into federalism. But who knows what kind of animal is federalism? I don't know. Not so many people know about it. And that's why it's very important that we get some ideas what this is all about. Because if that is going to be our future, we ought to know whether that's good for us or not. No? So I really think that we should have an ongoing education about it. Because, and now, Sok here, Reyes, who is expert in women and politics, will also talk about federalism as he sees it. And maybe you can tell us what kind of combination we could do to make it really work for our country. But before we do that, first welcome to you, Sok, again, because you have been many times a guest in my show. And of course, every time a different attire, because as you know, she's one of the most glamorous lolas in the world. But anyway, Sok, since we are already in your personal life, tell us again where you come from.
First, thank you very much, Sister, for inviting me again.
Oh, because you're my favorite guest.
It is, I can't refuse if it's Sister who invites.
Okay.
Even if I come from like so far away, like Congress, and with the traffic, how
I'm really grateful too.
No, but I cannot refuse because I know that you always have a very substantive program, and you're my idol. I want to be like
God.
you.
Sabi ko worse than me.
Gracefully, and,
aging.
Elegantly, and still remaining very purposeful.
Mutual admiration club.
Yeah, it is. So I always want to see women who are my role models. So
sige na lang.
I really love. With or without this show, I will tell you.
Okay.
That,
sige na. So you are from Manila ka ba?
Well, my parents are from Oriental Mindoro, but we were all born and raised in Manila.
All? How many are you ba?
There's 9 of us. 6 boys.
Do you know that this is the first time
girls.
I heard that you were 9?
Yes.
You never told us that.
Yes.
And you are number what?
I'm number 3.
Okay. So kahit na nagkaroon ng family planning, you would still be born. Siguro.
That's true.
Because at least there are 4 in the Filipino family, no?
Yes.
So anyway, so how many boys, how many girls?
6
kayo?
boys and 3 girls.
Wow.
It's
no wonder
2 to 1, huh?
No wonder you're a feminist.
Yes.
Marunong ka talagang lumaban magmula nung bata ka pa, no?
Yes.
And then, so where did you study here in Manila?
Yes. I graduated from the University of the Philippines. And then
also grade school, you were in that, how do you call that, comprehensive something?
No.
Yeah.
But I had I studied political science in the University of the Philippines.
Okay. So no wonder.
I am a political science person, died in the war because...
Were you an activist when you were in UP? It
depends what you mean by activist, because if you mean really,
because
going
in the
marching
streets.
in the streets.
How could you with your high heels?
No, but it's kind of limited because, my parents were kind of strict. Although with the boys in the family, they're okay, but the girls, you can't,
but this was
do much of that. But
this was before
my
martial
heart
law
had always been... I'm how would I characterize? I'm a very my views are progressive.
Okay.
I never saw myself
never were in the right.
conservative. Never conservative. I'm the progressive and more leaning towards the left rather than
to the right.
I always take positions, and I always.
Well, as long as I know you were like that. No? So what is your career path after you have finished?
I really wanted to go to the College of Law, but since there's 9 of us in the family...
You could have been such a great lawyer.
Since I'm 9 in the family and I'm number 3, so after college I really have to work, and I started teaching at Lyceum.
Oh, you taught?
Where Duterte went, President Duterte went.
Oh, I thought Sambeda.
No, he was there for his bachelor's, and I think he moved to Beda for his College of Law. Okay. So I taught there for 3 years, and then I taught at the University of the Philippines. simultaneously at LaSalle.
All political science.
All political science. And it's LaSalle where I spent a lot of my
that's true.
my teaching life.
You were there when we met, no?
Yes, I was there for how many? Over 21 years. And I founded a Congressional Research and Training Service, which became the Center for Legislative Development.
While you were in LaSalle or after?
While I was in LaSalle. When
you were simultaneously doing that?
Of the Department of Political Science, I founded a Congressional Research and Training Service. But 2 years later, we separated and we became independent. And then
So there's now an independent research?
Yes, yes. It's now called the Center for Legislative Development.
But that used to be with LaSalle, and now it's independent.
It used to be Congressional Research and Training Service, and that was in LaSalle, but later on we moved out of LaSalle, and it became the CRTS, which is the first legislative support organization after the first democratically elected Congress.
It's a legislative support. It's not just a research organization.
No. We started with training members of Congress, their staff and committees, in the first democratically elected legislature after martial law.
So that is, you are like the people who educated like Manny Pacquiao, like that. So if you were in the time, if Manny Pacquiao were in your time, your organization would have
Yes. We try to develop, the
neophytes in
their
Congress.
understanding of how Congress works, what's their role as legislators.
That's good, no? Because some don't have any idea.
But complementing that is we also worked with civil society so that they can participate in the legislative process. So what we did is alert them or inform them about the bills that were being filed in Congress and how it affects them and how they can advocate for the passage of
But in your training of these lawmakers, that's not a pro bono thing, no? I mean,
well, we were initially funded by Asia Foundation, by Ford Foundation.
So you mean to say the Congress people don't have to pay anything to be trained by
Initially, but later on we have to charge fees because
you had no more funding.
Because we have to be
self-sufficient. Okay.
So, and also, but service for a fee, I think that's fair enough.
But really, that's a good idea because some become Congress people without knowing anything about. Because I thought if you would pass a law, you should be a lawyer, di ba?
Not necessarily. But
that's why.
That you should understand what the legislative process is. You should understand how a bill becomes a law. You should understand how policies are translated into bills.
But is there an obligation for them to do that, or it's just if they like?
Well,
if they don't like, wala?
Member of Congress has two functions. The constituency servicing, and of course that's the political side, and of course lawmaking. And that's the policy side. Most of them are
ask for training talaga.
Very good at constituency servicing, meaning to say responding to the needs of their constituents. That's a political side. The policy side is more at the level of lawmaking, identifying issues and how you translate these issues into policies and how you get the policies passed into law. That is where I will be useful, that part.
Do you think that most of the Congress people who are elected, most of them come to training like this?
Now they do, actually, because Congress is institutionalized, the training, like for the first, termers, they have, before Congress opens, they have a series of seminars.
They have their own seminars.
Yeah, so they attend. But of course,
and they take you as mga resource persons from your organization?
Once in a while, yes. Once in a while, yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was different because I left the country. I joined the UN.
Okay, so after this,
after the Center for Legislative Development, where I worked for about 10 years, by the turn of the century, it was 2000s. I thought that I needed more space. So I went to the U.S. and I was hired as the Gender and Governance Director.
You had all your family, you brought them to the U.S.?
No. No, because my son was married at that time. So
already?
He was here.
So you have only one son?
I have only one, yeah. I have only one son.
So your apo is only from this son?
Yes, very limited source. So I have only two lovely granddaughters.
Oh, no wonder they're such favorite to Lola, no?
Yes, of
But
course.
now they're actually in the States,
yes,
no?
Yes, they are. They're in the US.
But at that time, you went alone? And
I did, but they followed later. And then, then I went to Pakistan because I joined UNDP.
Wait, first, in the United Nations, where were you?
First I went there, I joined an international NGO called the Women's Environment and Development Organization, Bella Abzogs.
Of course. See, I know her with the nice hat.
Yes,
you know, like
yes. Always with a good hat. I stayed with We Do, I think, for 2 years, and then I joined UNDP.
Yeah.
But I was
What was the purpose of this first one, the NGO? It's for empowerment of women?
Yes, but they have more the environmental thrust.
Parang eco-feminist sila.
Yeah, but also when I was there, I had the governance division, and I think my contribution was to launch the global campaign for 50-50, get
What
the
does that
balance
mean?
right. Meaning 50% of women in all decision-making bodies, whether it be at Congress or whether it be at the national or the
my goodness, if that is realized in all countries, my goodness, then the feminist dream is already realized.
Yes. So that was it. And then I moved to the UN, UNDP, but I was assigned to Pakistan.
Okay, UNDP is United Nations Development Program, no?
Yes.
And these are like a funding agency to fund projects?
It is the biggest development organization of the UN. So that is what... I went to Pakistan as UNDP Senior General Advisor to the government of Pakistan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there, I think, my contribution was, again, in terms of political participation.
Of women?
Yes, because that time, the president...
Well, imagine, hindi ba si Benazir? Bhutto?
Yeah, but that was before. I was during the time of Musharraf. He passed the local government ordinance that provided that 1/3 of the union councils will be women. So that's 36,000.
They did? Really? They did pass a law?
Yeah, that's 36,000 women.
Wow.
Running for office. So what I did was to come up with a capacity building program for them when they got elected. And that became the beginning of the women's political school that was established in Pakistan. So I again feel that that was a contribution I made.
Wow, that's a very great contribution. My goodness.
Yes,
I mean, and it is something that people don't know that there's something behind that, and that's why all these women are going into the political field.
I have more friends in Pakistan than I have in the Philippines when I came back from the U.S.
How long were you there?
I was there for 3 years, and then I went back to New York, this time with UN Women. I headed the Asia Pacific and Arab States Division of UN Women. So I was supervising the regional offices in East Asia, that was based in Bangkok, South Asia, that was based in Delhi, and then Pacific, which was based in Fiji, and then and then the Arab states.
So tell us, in comparison with other countries, what is the percentage of women in governance?
You know, the Philippines, of course, we are like number 7 in terms of the Global Gender Gap Index, no?
Oh, well, that's different, no?
We're quite high. We're quite...
That's gender consciousness and all these things.
Yeah, well, it has many indicators, and, included there, of course, is political participation.
Because in governance?
My area really is political participation. There's where I have focused, and it basically means not only increasing the number of women representatives, but also quality participation. But
as of now, you said we are not yet so good in that, no? Because,
you
said how many percent of the Congress people? Now 27%
now? About 27 to 28%.
And of course, in the Senate, there are only about, what, 5?
6, I think.
Out of 24?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's nothing.
24, More or less along the line. But
How about in local government? Do you find them more or
less?
Less.
And that's very, very, very unique, because most of the time in other countries, you find women at the lower levels. No? And as you go up, they get fewer and fewer.
But with us,
But in the Philippines, even at the low level, the women are very few. For example, even in our barangays, no? You'll find that 80% of the kagawads and 80% of the punong barangays are men, even as we, the women, we vote in larger numbers than men.
So you are saying that there are more women voters actually than men, but they vote for men.
Yes, and not only that, there are more men who run for office than women. Even at the local level. And that's very, very strange. I find that very strange because like in India, you know, in the panchayats, there are more women than men.
In the local government?
India, yeah. And as you go higher, you get lesser and lesser women. Dito, baliktad eh.
Mas marami sa taas
kesa.
Paliit na paliit sa
And so, my vision, my dream is really to build the women's vote.
You tell us, what is the meaning of women's vote? Kasi pwede ba naman yung lahat tayo boboto sa ganito kung hindi siya magaling? What?
No.
What is the meaning?
You know, my sense is, I like to prove that women's vote can make or unmake candidates. No? In other words, in the case of Obama, for example, there was the gender gap in the vote, and it was shown that more women than men voted for Obama. In fact, the reason why he won is because of the gender gap. Because there were 10% more women than men who voted, and so he got. And so if you see, Obama's policies are all gender sensitive.
Even the way he talks, very feminist. No?
Because he
is that the same with Trudeau in Canada?
Yeah, because he really owes his, his position to the women. We have to prove that.
His mandate is from the women.
Yeah, we have to prove that we, women, after all we vote in larger numbers than men, can really make or unmake candidates. No? Yeah. That, hey, if you don't heed our demands, if you don't really reflect our issues, no way.
So that is where I see how much education we have to have for women, so that they will really vote for a good candidate. We do not say definitely that you must vote for a woman candidate. No, it depends. She has to be good. Because if you vote for women because they are just women,
but it's not even voting for women. It is showing that the women's vote
has power,
can make a difference.
It doesn't matter who they vote for.
For example, Obama, this is a male candidate, but the women voters
made him win.
Yeah, made him win. So you can claim that, you know. So it's not really like we only vote for women candidates. That it's the women's vote.
Because that is the usual way they interpret which is not good, no? Because it's not as if just because she's a woman she's good. We have had two.
And in fact, we want both women and men, to fight for gender issues. They don't just like women fighting for gender issues. In fact, our advocacy even becomes stronger when we have men as partners.
Advocating also.
As partners.
And that is the reason why we have a gender issues for men as module, you know? Because they have to be also, educated and really to understand why they act that way. So I said, you have to understand why you have a virus in your computer, for example.
And also like violence against women. The UN always has this theory of change that it's in partnership with men that we can address violence against women effectively. That's why you have the he for she. No?
Okay. Now, we have finished our first segment. Do you know that? So now, I think we have already a context for us to discuss federalism and the gender aspect of federalism. So, but just make a little pause. And then when we come to the second segment, let's talk about federalism. And of course, with you, it has to be a gender aspect of federalism.
Yes.
But you have to tell us first what federalism is, okay?
Sure.
Okay, so let's have a pause.